people of the world, and welcome to the darkness once again. You know, let's cut the charade. Let's cut the fakeness. And let's get down to the bare knuckles reality. Quit kidding yourself. Quit lying to yourself. Quit putting yourself into a mental prison of your own design. It's time to wake up. It's time to realize one thing. You think that life is fair. You think that life isn't fair. Give me a chance to collect myself real quick. You think life should be fair. You think life owes you something. You think everything should go your way, right? Well, newsflash. Life isn't fair. Life isn't forgiving. Life can be cold. Life can be uncalculated. And life could tear you down, rip you apart, and leave you there if you let it. Life can literally destroy you with everything it's got. Literally destroy you, literally reduce you down to a steaming pile of garbage. You know, people on here, a lot of people on here, are all about money, are all about fame, are all about fortune. Well, let me tell you, it's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Yeah, look at me on here. Do you really think I make money on here? Do you really think I get monetized or do any of that? No. I do something. I do this because something that I like to do. Something that I prefer to do. Something that just gives me that short little tickly warm feeling on the inside, right? That's what we do a lot of things. But we all know the world's not fair. The world's not as perfectly balanced as we want it to be. See, the world doesn't bend for you. Nor do you bend the world. But you can mold it, shape it, use it to your advantage. We all go through pain. We all go through suffering. We all go through disappointments in our lives. But guess what? Nobody ever said that life was going to be you know, nobody ever said it was all going to be wine and roses. No, because it's the hard times as well as the good times that mold you, that shape you, that make you into the person and force that you are today. Because you see, we all have something inside us that we don't know about. Something that screams to get out, that scratches at the door, wanting, begging to be released. And you know what that is? That's potential. That's promise. That's our inner selves wanting to balance the equation that you keep trying to unbalance by crying and whining, saying life isn't fair, that, that this didn't go right, because you didn't want it to. Because you want, well, let me get my thinking back here. It's like you expect everything to happen exactly how you want it when it doesn't. And when it doesn't, then you panic. Then you freak out. Then you just lose your mind, right? What is that going to do you? What is that going to do you when you risk everything, when you lose everything? Well, you see, there does become a point in your life, a point in everybody's life, where they do feel like they're lost, where they do feel like they've got everything stripped away, everything taken away from them. But guess what? Here's the news flash of that. Even in our deepest, darkest moments, that's who we prove to ourselves who we really are and what we're truly capable of doing. Because that's when the bare, raw instinct of survival comes in. The very raw instinct of just wanting to live, just wanting to exist, wanting to be heard. Because at those moments, think about this. In our darkest moments, in our worst case scenarios, is when we come up with the best ideas and the best way of handling things. Think about that as true. Because, you live your life, easy life, nothing bothers you. Nothing comes of it, You just meander around saying, everything's good, everything's serene. But then the most unspeakable thing happens. Something happens that throws you off, that throws you in such a state of disarray that you don't know how to handle it. You lose it. You lose it all. But then, guess what? There's that little fire that starts burning within you. There's that little bit of not wanting to give up. There's that little bit of rage, that little bit of, should I say, clever planning that manifests itself. Starts off as a little spark, and then it gradually grows into a flame. And then, what do you become? You become a creature that's unstoppable. You become something that the world never expected. And then you build up resilience. Then you build up that unstoppable force. Then all that hurt and all that pain goes away. Because you have a plan for your life now. You have a focus, which is getting back on your feet and keeping going. Getting back into the groove and keep on pushing. Work hard, work long, and keep moving forward. Never look back. Because it's the minute you look back is when you're at your weakest point. The minute you start looking back on your life at your failures, then that is when you're at your weakest. You see, you should never look back on your failures. You should use your failures as your stepping stones to your successes. Because think about it, we all have that mad fire within us. We all have that desperate need to just survive. Why not put it to good use? Why not use it to become something that nobody has ever expected for you to become? Become a force of nature that the world will be trembling. Become someone that they've never expected. Use that light, use that fire within you, and let it burn your enemies to a cinder, so that even the very earth trembles at your feet. Then it comes the chance of certainty. Then comes the chance of, hey, I got this. I got everything. I got everything. Then you'll be on top of the world again. But just because you think you're on top of the world doesn't mean you can get knocked back off of it again. You stay focused. You stay concentrated. You stay focused on what you want. Focus on what you want. Focus on what you want to happen in your life and make it manifest and do it. Do it. Don't just talk about it. Be about it. If you're going to stop something, then stop it. If you're going to start something, then start it. Be a man of your word. That's the key. Being a man of your word. Because the minute you aren't, then that makes you the weakest man or woman in the world. Because you are spineless. You are like a jellyfish. Because you do not hold your word. Therefore, you have no solidity. You have no substance. You are just like a plastic bag floating in the wind. You have no weight. You have no worth. You're just floating everywhere, hoping that you'll come across something solid and it'll stop you from blowing around. But you got to say enough. You got to say, look, I've had enough. I've had enough of the normal Margin jargon. I've had enough. It's time for me to stand up. It's time for me to fight. It's time for me to get up off the ground, dust myself off, and walk forward and never look back. Because the past is the past, and you can't change that. Nobody could rewind time and change anything in the past. The past is gone. The future is now. The time is now. And the choice is yours. As the one of my iconic favorites, as Yoda would say, do or do not. There is no try. Simply put, if you're going to do something, do it. Do it. And if you're not going to do anything, then don't do it. Simple. There's no in between like, maybe. No. It's not what the world expects. That's not what people expect. But I've always said this. Why do I care what the world thinks? Why do I care what the world feels? When the most important person in the world should be you and the person that you are on the inside. That's what counts. People outside of your life, people outside, they'll always have their little opinions and their little insight and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's you that matters the most. Because you are the controller of your own life. Nobody else is. And life never gives you a pat on the back. Life never gives you, good time or bad time. Life is life, and life is how it is. That's it. As I stated in my title. As I stated in my title before. But like I said, as I stated before, so anyway, as I stated before in my title, life is what it is. Deal with it. Because it's not going to get any better, and it's not going to get any worse unless you allow it. Unless you work hard to make it that way. You're in control of your own life. Nobody else is. You decide whether you pass or whether you fail. That's it. There is no in between. You're either going to go out and make yourself a successful and make yourself a success, or you're just going to stay there and do nothing and be idle and let all your friends and family pass you by while you're stuck in the same room, doing the same thing, thinking about the same thoughts over and over and over again. Like a repeating record player that never ends. It just plays for a little bit, skips, goes back to the beginning. Plays for a little bit, skips, and goes back to the beginning. Like I said, you're the one that decides on how your life turns out. Because at the end of the day, it's you. It's always been you. All of us have that little fire within us. All of us have that little drop of courage within us all. And it all depends on whether you decide to use it or not. And that's all I have to say.